Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Honeybee Stamps. Today I'm kind of marrying some new stamps with some old ones. I'm using Honey Bunnies, Be Young Spring, Loads of Spring, and then the Smile Buzzword. All of these are the stamps and dies. I did show you the outdoor scene builder stencils, but I didn't end up using them. So here I'm just going to do some stamping. Basically, I'm creating this little cute little spring card, and my premise is this little girl bringing this little bunny a bouquet of flowers. And while I know that that's probably not a thing in real life, it's my card and I can do what I want, and I think it's adorable. So a lot of these stamp sets are I think from last year or maybe the year before. I don't know. They all fit together because they all had kind of the same style, and I thought that it was super cute. And I'm all about, like, if you've purchased something, getting as many uses out of it as possible. And so while there's a bunch of bunnies in the Honey Bunny set, and the little girl, she's actually part of the Be Young series. So if you think she's super cute, there's a couple more of her, but they're smaller stamp sets. And then the Loads of Spring actually goes with the pickup truck, which is super cute. But I didn't use them with any of the things that they were meant to be used for. And I think the card still came out pretty cute. So if you have stamp sets that maybe you bought for this specific thing, make sure that you look at them sometimes and see if you could use them a little bit differently, just so you're kind of stretching your supplies and getting more with what you have. Now, obviously, I have spring on the brain, because I cannot wait for warmer weather. That's real talk. I cannot. It's been a relatively nice week here. We've had a couple of days that were in the low 70s, which was really, really nice. So it was sunny. Peanut got to play outside with his friends. Today is kind of meh. Today is a little bit rainy and dreary. The rain came in last night, and it's just kind of hung around all day today. But I'm not going to complain too much because, like I said, we had 3 gorgeous days this week, and I just look forward to those longer stretches of nicer days. But in the meantime, I'll create spring in my crafter because, that's the wonderful thing that you can do with card making, or really any kind of creating, is just kind of create something that you want instead of, having to wait around for it. So anyway, I could not color her like a bee. I couldn't do it. I had to color her like a bee. Just because that's where my brain immediately went, with her little striped dress and her wings and her little antenna headband. Yeah, she's super cute. So we went with the bee theme. Most of this video is going to be, the vast majority of it is going to be Copic coloring, because I didn't really do much else. I'm not trying to diminish my skills in Copic coloring by any means. I just didn't. I started to kind of build a background, and that's why I had pulled out the outdoor stencils. And then I guess I just realized that not every single card needs to be a full-on detailed scene. That sometimes it's okay to just make the illusion of a scene, and then that can be cute too. Because I realized the one layer, very involved scene card making is not for everybody. Whether it's because you feel like it takes too long, or you don't think you have the skill set. PSA there, I bet you do. Have a little faith in yourself, give it a try. Or maybe it's just something that's a little bit more involved than your current life allows for card making. So this is another little way that you can kind of build a scene that's pretty adorable without having to do all of the stamping, masking, layering, and all that jazz. So as far as story time goes, yesterday was a very frustrating day for me. It just was. It was one of those days. I told you in my last couple of videos that Caitlin has had this cold for quite a while. And like, you can feel the congestion in her chest. And so they told us 2 to 4 weeks. We're past that now, into the 5th week. And so I just called her pediatrician and went to make an appointment. Here's something interesting that I don't know that I'm a fan of. So when I called to make the appointment, they were like, well, you have to do a same day appointment. I was like, what? I mean, not that I wasn't planning. I mean, like, if they could get her in, I would have taken her in. But I was like, my son's been going to this pediatrician for 8 years. That's new. Why does it have to be? She's like, well, if it's a sick visit. And I was like, well, this one's a follow up. Like, this one is a follow up visit because we were there and we saw him and he told us if it's not gone in 2 to 4 weeks to come back. So I don't necessarily know that this qualifies as an immediate sickness. But, like, is that how you're doing all sick visits? Like, I won't be able to schedule my child for just a regular appointment if he's presenting symptoms? I was a little confused on that. I think it'll be handy for the days that your kid's, like, really sick. But what about the days when maybe you're just worried something's going on because, he's complained of, I don't know, a tummy ache for a couple of days? Like, you can't schedule that now? I don't know. I don't like it. But anyway, so I call, they get me an appointment for later in the day. So I take her up there, and Eric is at training. He's been at training. And so, so I'm solo on this one, which, is a little bit rough for me. And I should have planned better. And that's on me. I should have taken my wallet out of my purse and put it in her book bag so I would not have to carry my purse and her bag and her car seat. But I didn't. I did not do that. And their office is on the second floor, of which there is an elevator in the building, but that would require me to wait for the elevator to come down, to get onto the elevator, to take the elevator up, when really there's a set of stairs right when you walk in the door. So I just took the stairs, but now I'm carrying like an extra 30 pounds. And the whole time I was thinking, this better count towards my zone minutes on my Fitbit because I am sweating. So, oh my gosh, it was a workout. And I don't work out, I'm going to be honest. So it was like extra for me. But anywho, so we get in there. And at the same time, there's another mom coming in. They take her back immediately, tell us that we're, going to have to wait a couple minutes for a room. And it really was just a couple minute wait. It wasn't a huge deal. I get in there and Miss Caitlin has spit up all over herself, all over her straps for her car seat. Fantastic. Probably while I was jostling her all over the place trying to get up the stairs, would be my guess. So get in there. I'm like, do I need to get her undressed? Because usually for their weight and stuff, for their well visits, they want them in their diaper. And she was like, nope, not for a sick visit. I said, okay, well, I'm going to use this as a changing table nonetheless because my child spit up all over herself. So I clean her up. I clean the straps up as best I can. I get her clothes changed, and then the doctor comes in. We have a discussion about this, and he tells me, basically my options are to try something over the counter, or put her on an antibiotic. And I was like, I thought they got rid of all the infant stuff. And he was like, yeah, they did, because people were overdosing their kids. But if you don't do that, you can still use the over-the-counter things. Because, see, I used to use the over-the-counter things when Nathan was a baby. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I could probably just do the over-the-counter things before we put her on an antibiotic. And so we're talking, and he was like, well, why don't you get Dimetapp? And I told him, y'all, that it's hard to find. Dimetapp is hard to find. Not everybody carries it. And he was like, I'm like, I have Robitussin at home. And he was like, yeah, do you know if you have the DM one? And I said, I think I do. And he's like, yeah, you can't give her the DM one. And then he says, he Googles Dimetapp, and he was like, yeah, see, this one with the, I don't know what it's called, guava something, that you don't want the one with that in it. And I'm like, okay, I think okay. So he was like, all right, let me type this up, and I'll get you out of here. All right. So I leave, and then as I'm coming home, my mom sends me a message. She's like, hey, what's going on for tonight? And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to call her because I'm literally in the car about to pull into the driveway. And I was like, I have to go back out and get this Dimetapp. If you want to take her for a smidge so I could run to the store, that'd be great. And so I take her to my mom's house, and then I leave. Now, her paperwork is in her backpack, okay? Her paperwork is in her backpack. I Google who carries Dimetapp, and my choices are Walgreens or Rite Aid. The Walgreens is closer, so I go to the Walgreens. While I'm at the Walgreens, there are no less than 5 different options for Dimetapp. And now I'm not 100% positive what he told me that cannot be in it. Great. So I call my parents' house. I get my dad. Hi, Dad. Can you pull out Caitlin's paperwork from the back of her bag and tell me what he wrote on there? So I love my father. I love both my parents. Don't get me wrong. But he's got to read the whole thing. He's reading to me the name of the pediatrician. And I'm like, Dad, I know where I took her. Can you just look at the bottom? There's a large section that says notes. Can you just read me what's in the notes? And he's going through the whole thing. God love him. And so finally it says, give 1 milliliter of Dimetapp every 6 hours. I said, that's all it says. Doesn't say anything else about what kind of Dimetapp. Nope. So now I'm like, fantastic. You've given me instructions. And he even told me when I was there, don't ask the pharmacist about it because he'll tell you that you can't give it to her. Okay. So now you've given me these instructions that are outside of the realm of what we would normally do, but you have not written down the specific instructions so that I know what I'm doing. So now I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Well, while I'm there, I go to call them. It is exactly 5:00 on a Friday. Are they there? Do you know the answer? Yes, you do. No, they're not. They are not there. So it rings and says, X amount of people are in line ahead of you. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they extended their hours or something. I don't know anything about it. I am on hold 11 minutes. 11 minutes of sitting in the Walgreens parking lot on hold. So then, once I finally get through, it's the answering service. Well, I'm here now. I've waited the 11 minutes. I guess I'm going to see if they'll call me. And all I could think in my head was, he's told me to do something outside of the norm, and these people are not even going to know what I'm talking about. So I wait my 11 minutes. I have my conversation. About 10 minutes after that, the nurse on call calls me back. I'm like, okay, this is my situation. And she was like, yeah, they don't really do that. Like, they don't really do that over the counter stuff. I'm not really sure what to tell you. Of course you're not. It's not her fault. It's definitely not her fault. But that doesn't change the fact that I just want to cry sitting in my car because all I want to do is get this medicine and go back home. Just very frustrated with the whole thing. So she was like, well, there's a doctor on call. I can get a hold of them. It's just like, because normally we don't recommend anything that's more than 1 active ingredient. And I was like, dude, none of them have just 1 active ingredient. All of them at least have 2, if not 3 or 4. So now I get off the phone with her. Now I'm waiting again for the doctor to call me back. I'm waiting. Total, I was at the Walgreens for 45 minutes. Finally, I just give up. I'm like, I'm going home. And if, like, at this point, I don't know what else to do. If I have to go back out and get it when she calls me back, then I will. As I'm turning into my development, this doctor returns my phone call. And she was like, yeah, I don't really love giving over-the-counter stuff for less than 12 months. And I was like, yep, get that, understand what you're saying. This is what he told me to do. And she was like, okay, well, most of my patients use the Zarbee's brand with agave. Don't get the one with honey. You have to get the one with agave. And I'm like, what is this even? Like, I don't, Robitussin, Dimetapp, like, these are cough medicines or cold medicines that I know. This Zarbee's thing, I don't know. I think it's now, in hindsight, looking at the box, I think it's because it's like organic. But she was like, you can try that. She was like, and it should be easier to find. I've never heard of it before. I can't imagine it will be easier to find, but that's fine. That's what we're going with. So then Eric at this point is home, and he was like, I will go get it, which I'm very grateful for, because I've spent whatever between drive time and my 45-minute wait at the Walgreens, an hour and a half trying to get this medication. And of course now it's backed up my entire day. So I was just I was just a little bit frustrated and I hit her. Well, and it's also Peanut's pediatrician. Like, he is so lucky he was not standing there. I probably would have assaulted the man. I was so, I was so frustrated with the whole thing. Like, why does it have to be this hard? Why does it, just because I don't want to put her on an antibiotic if I don't have to? Oh, it was challenging. It was a challenging day. Um, that, and I think that I was also a little bit, I was a little bit tired, and my whole day was jacked up because um, typically the little miss gets up around 7 to 7:30 ish, because that's normally when we wake her up, like with our work schedules and stuff. So she's kind of gotten in the habit of that. But that morning, she woke up at 6. At 6, we started playing the pacifier game. I want my pacifier. I spit out my pacifier. I cry. I want my pacifier. And so on and so forth for the next hour. And so I was already, like, the moment my feet got out of bed, I was already annoyed. So I get up with her. We do our things. Eric gets to work. I take Peanut to school. I take her to daycare so I can do the other things that I need to do. And because now I've only gotten, whatever, this little bit of sleep, now I need to take a nap, which backed me up for my other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all just snowballed. And I know that there's no concrete schedule when you have, any children, really. It just seems like there always seems to be something that cracks up and get you from whatever your original game plan was. But it just kind of set the tone for my whole day. And then this whole disaster with this over-the-counter medicine that I was trying to find was like the straw that broke the camel's back. And Eric, like, when he volunteered to go, he like came in and he was like, "Hey, listen, like, we have a night off together as a family. Try to rein it in, turn it around." And so I did try to do that. So then while he was gone, I started making dinner. He picked up Caitlin, and because Peanut was home, he was playing with his friends. And so made dinner. We had dinner. Like, it did turn itself around, but it was that 4 or 5 hour section of my day was just like not great. It was not a good day, and I'm sure that you guys can all relate to sometimes it's just not. Sometimes it's just not. Anywho, back to the card. So the vast majority of our Copic coloring is done. Here you can see that I outlined the flowers in like my lightest green. This isn't, this was before I decided I wasn't doing the background. But I will say, if you outline it, if you give it some color behind it, it does give it more weight. And so originally I was going to be doing some ink blending at the bottom of my card that this would have blended into, but I didn't do that, and I'm still okay with it. So now, once all the coloring is done, I am going to put the dies in place to run them through and cut them out. I don't love a white outline on my images, but that's the only one I outlined because when I decided to not do the ink blending in the background, the white blended into my white, and so I didn't need to blend anything. It was already done for me. For my sentiment, I went with the smile sentiment again. I think there's a lot of really good ones in this particular set. And so today I went with smile. It looks good on you. As part of the Loads of Spring set, there is this little like grasses die, stamp and die. And so originally I was just going to use the die. And I was like, it's got all the little grasses, like little lines, and that should be enough. I should just be able to use the die. And so I ran that through. Guess what? It looked janky. It was not good. And so now I have this little die cut. Rather than do it again, I'm going to use the trick where you fit the die, the positive back into the negative, and then you can stamp on it that way. And that way I didn't have to recolor, recut, another one. I was just able to kind of salvage my piece there. So keep that in mind. That's a good trick to have in the future. You might need it. So now that is done, I can go on to building my card. I'm just gonna glue my smile together. I try very, very hard to keep the dot of my eye. A lot of times, for some reason, I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's a smaller piece, but when I'm die cutting, it sticks to my board instead of sticks in the die like everything else does. And so I frequently have to make a conscious effort to be like, grab that dot, you're gonna need it. Because if you don't have the dot, as you can see here, it looks a little strange. I could probably trim that off um, if I couldn't find my dot or cut another one. That's a lot of effort. I don't know if I got it in me. Um, so here I kind of have everything laid out just so I can stamp the second part of my sentiment on my card base. And so it's a smile, it looks good on you. My end result, my end result I think is a hair higher than I had originally intended it. But that's okay. It ended up being fine. It's legible. Do I wish it was just a smidge lower? Yeah, but there's no perfection in card making, and sometimes you just have to accept that that is the way it is and just kind of roll with it. So I put the smile in place, and then for the other pieces parts, I just glued them down flat. The little girl and the bunny, and then I'm gonna pop up the flowers and the grass on foam to create a little bit of dimension. Here I'm just trying to figure out if they're in the right place for gluing, and then I'm going to remove the flowers and the grass so I know where I'm gluing my things down at. Like I said, ultimately, would this be super cute with some ink blending behind it? Yeah, I was going to do some clouds and some grass. I do think that would be adorable. But I think it's pretty cute this way too. You let me know what you think. Does it feel like the card is incomplete because, to you, in your opinion, does it feel like the card's incomplete because there is not a full scene behind it? I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it's missing anything. I think it's got a lot of fun, bright colors. Obviously, the coloring is a large portion of the attraction here. But I think it's cute. I think it's a cute design. Here, I just glued the top of the grass right over the flowers, and then I popped the whole thing up on foam. It was just easier to glue them together before I did the foam pieces parts, rather than to try and do them separately after one was already attached. So I went ahead and put that down. The only other thing that I decided to do once the card was put together was put some clear shimmer, and I tried to put it on as much things as possible because you know I love it. So I put it on her wings, I put it on all of the flowers, I put it on the little heart that the bunny is carrying you, and I think her bow and her flower on her dress. Yeah, I the other sentiment I considered was some bunny loves you, but I felt like as she was giving the flowers, it made more sense to have something else. So anywho, I hope that it is warm where you are and that spring is coming your way, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye.